Road to Yonko. Okay, this is an introduction to the second audiobook on my channel. The first one is called Dark Game Audiobook. So Dark Game is basically a little kitty, like, fundamental about how to deal with shitty people in society. It's not really based off dating. What Dark Game is, Dark Game shows you that it's a cruel world, but it's not because of how you deal with it. It shows you how to view things once you get on the other side of popularity, which is a high school basic level, instead of actually, rolling with the whole thing that it's a cruel world. It shows you a little bit about racism. It shows you a little bit. There's entry fees, but it doesn't go in depth on the problems in society, so that's why it's free. It doesn't really go too in depth about literally what could happen. I just shared some personal experiences, and the reason why it's free is because this can all happen throughout grade school. This can happen throughout high school. It's an entry level, but it's not an elaborate level, is what Dark Game is. Dark Game is literally just teach you to have a little bit of swag of, like, literally how to tell certain people to fuck up. This is something that your parents can tell you, but I'm doing it in more of an elaborate way. So if you want to check out the other audiobook, go check out Dark Game. This audiobook is a little bit more universal. The other one is strictly towards looking cool, like literally dating, literally being, ahead step of people, literally. But Dark Game isn't as deep as this one. But the reason why they are both free is because what I did is I made it in a way to the fact that this is a tool you can use, but it's not a guarantee. Like, there's problems where it comes to finishing. It teaches you how to start, but it doesn't teach you how to continue. So this is how you actually build a fan base and how you get a whole lot of attention, how you build an empire, but it comes with a little twist. So this is an experience I've had where literally I've made an empire that has fallen, and the reason why it fell was due to, a mistake that a past CEO made, being reliable on the same people. So I'm going to put that out there right now. What makes Road to Yonko free is that, again, it teaches you how to obtain something, but it doesn't teach you how to care and nurture it, like, properly. Those are audiobooks I'm actually going to sell. So this is a story of how to literally see through BS, just like the last one. Dark Game is all about seeing through BS, which isn't everything that you have to deal with business. Sometimes you have to accept BS, sometimes you have to do this and that, but at the same time, you want to be able to put yourself in a position where you don't have to deal with BS. And this is how to build a foundation. Maybe BS may be involved, maybe not. So I'll put it like this. This is the introduction of how I became truly famous. So, if you guys know, I am known as a Bay Area superstar, sort of a ghostwriter, if you will. What happens is, they reference shit in my personal life, and they make songs about it, and I had to make A&Vs for them in the past. But before I got there, back when I was struggling at life, is when I wanted to be famous the most. So here's what I did is, I dropped out of college, and I joined this thing called the ARL, the Animation Rap League. And they were pretty famous on YouTube for somebody who went to graphic and design, and that guy actually did gain a lot of money. He was making a living off of YouTube, so this was one step further towards my goal in my career in terms of anime entertainment. So what happened was this guy was really known. He had a really good start, like literally a whole lot of fan bases, but he forgot that these were otakus at the same time, and that literally the otakus literally had contradicting lifestyles due to their bike. Like, what they were doing is they had elementary school mistakes. Like, they would go hard, but they would hide who they were as a person. Like, none of them could freestyle, but they all had really good flows when it came to rap. They all had outstanding character. They had something that nobody could ever replace, because what they did was they had Animation Rap League, and they were all lyrical, just like Eminem. But the problem was, they were at Eminem level, but they weren't at Nas level. So that was the whole point. You have to make sure that everything's on point. Like, if they were OGs, 30 and up, they would see the actual beauty of the platform that they have. But no, they were opinionated to the point where they were just little fucking kids. And anime is appropriate to watch at 30. And they were letting go of this shit because they thought that this shit was not gonna go anywhere. Oh, we're just rapping about Japanese cartoons like literally this and that, but what they failed to realize is anime is universal. There's so many rappers, so many good celebrities that we think that just are thugs and stuff like that love anime. It's just entertainment at the end of the day, like literally. And that is where they fell. But before all that, I'm telling you, this is how a business can crumble. But this was the key to my start of the road to Yonko. So the ARL system went like this. It went from low tier, mid tier, high tier, and Yonko. Yonko was the highest, and Yonko means like a pirate king level. And literally close to that, like a fourth emperor. So I wanted to make this thing called Road to Yonko. It was actually the name of a side manga I was going to create after I had a battle with somebody. And Road to Yonko was actually going to be based off, like, literally a JoJo-like figure, like, where we pick anime characters. It was literally just like the ARL, but instead of literally just literally picking a character, the character is your stand. Like, say if Duel chose Yugi, Yugi would be his stand. Like, say if literally Sabo chose Rob Lucci was being stand. And that was what Road to Yonko was actually going to be, but I was vaccinated, and so they kept on calling me the low tier. That literally, that didn't amount to anything, so it would be retarded, but it was a great idea. Nowadays, now that I have an expanded fan base and expanded mind, we can actually do that now, but there's no point because the ARL is dead. And these outstanding universal concepts, just like Mood Tunes, if you don't know what Mood Tunes is, Mood Tunes was when I didn't have any foundation. I created this platform where literally I put a bridge series, AMVs, anime trailers, everything that had to do with anime video editing all in one playlist, and it looked just like TV because it all flowed perfectly, but I got no validation on the outside. And literally, I have nobody to fucking push it, so what's the whole point? Do not ever put so much energy into something that nobody's going to support. Now that I've lived a long time, now that I've saved, those clips, now that I've saved those files, those pieces of media, now I can go back to them. Now that I am an adult, now that I have gone to Gucci, now that I have this, now that people are supporting my statement, I can always go back and repost it. Like, this is the shit that I used to do when I was young, but I dropped it because nobody's right there. You want to do that. You don't want to literally put something out there where nobody fucking likes you. You have to understand that. And this is all the way leading up to the beginning of my fame, my battle with Sabo Do. So basically what happened was this. I was a prodigy in the ARL. I went 3-1 in the first season, but they always tried to attack me at this angle. So here's what happened. I'm going to be full and elaborate. They tried to say that Sabo murked me, that his flow was way fucking better, that this and that, and literally fucking, that he literally, everything that I was spinning was just in my head, and I wasn't getting results reality, that I was making a beginning mistake, like, yo, the way you're viewing it isn't the way we're viewing it. And that's a reverse psychology game that they play in society. They play that shit in high school. Don't fall for that. That's like a girl when you ask her out and you look like me and she tries to say that you're not sexy. She tries to call you ugly. That was literally the shit that they were making. Yeah, if you point it at the right angle, I could look ugly, but in general, I'm sexy as fuck. And that is the reverse psychology that they used. So I'll put it like this. I beat the first battle too fucking easily. I tried facing up against somebody the same rank, and he literally got murdered, and he got scraped. So they had to post me up against a mid-tier, so I chose Sabo Do. So me and him, like, had this battle. So here's a thing about life, and here's the thing about once you actually create a business. Turn freaking Monkey said this himself. You know that God is constantly criticizing you? Once you actually start criticizing him, it's going to be at a time when he's in charge. And that's why his business isn't going to go far. So that is a general rule in business. The guy that can't take constructive criticism is always the guy that's in charge. So there's no such thing as heavy constructive criticism, because if it's heavy to a point where if you try everything in your power and you can't impress them, it's going to become a high school bias at that point, and you have to realize that you have to let that go. But what he was doing was he was acting like I wasn't all that because of the rank. So he wanted me to pay attention to what was on paper. I'm low tier, he's mid tier. So Sabo delayed the battle for a week, and he tried to say that he eked me at the time came, where in actuality, this is the complexity of the situation. So it started off from me calling him out, like, you're not that creative and this and that. You may be mid tier, you may have flow, but I see the flaws in your style while right. And so literally, I backed it up from my action when I got there. I came with some heavy bars, and he went fucking super fucking Saiyan literally 10 times harder than my bar. So it was Jalal from Fairy Tail versus Rob Lucci, and I had this dripped out character. Literally, his character was dripped out. We had both punchlines, we have both flow, but there was a major fucking problem. I was at a time where people didn't appreciate real rap, where people would prefer shit like Kendrick Lamar over old school Mos Def and this and that. I had old school way of rapping that they didn't catch on to because they didn't listen to actual rap. What they did was they listened to trap rap and they listened to Kendrick Lamar, but they didn't actually listen to lyrical rap. They have the mindset that G-Eazy is better than Tupac on paper because of how he impacted the community. Oh, but people are following G-Eazy's lifestyle way more than Tupac, so literally, he must be better on paper, and we have to stop viewing shit like that. That's like saying My Hero Academia is better than Dragon Ball Z because of literally, they say that Dragon Ball Z is a whole bunch of kung fu and fireworks, but if you actually look at Dragon Ball Z, it's way more heavily written than My Hero Academia. And it's not up front, but you have to actually watch the series to actually understand. Like, Dragon Ball is twice as complex, but it's not complex in your face. And that is why they fail to realize that they are performing literally what's pop over what is actually hip-hop is where they got that huge misconception. So I go for the battle, and I go crazy. And so what they did was literally, they hyped my verse up, and they're like, oh man, he called you Sabrina, what the fuck you gotta do about that? Literally scolded him at the middle. It's like, is that why you sucked his dick for GTA? So literally fucking this and that. And so we all thought that Sabo was gonna lose, and he came back with the crazy shit. So I kept on saying that he was a Dragon Ball ripoff, that literally fucking Luffy's first name is literally what Frieza calls the Saiyan. All these crazy ass fucking comparisons, and he came back with, yeah, that's why you ripped off our series, and that's why you ripped off Gildarts, and literally. So what he did was he destroyed the foundation of my verse by flipping it, but he couldn't do that the whole time. So literally what he did was he had bars that had momentum. So he had a whole bunch of jabs, but then his jabs came with one solid hook at the end. If you literally know both series, that's how the battle went. So what happened was this, is literally, they loved my bars, they loved his bars, and at the time they thought it was fucking incredible, and they thought it was the best battles of all time. Literally, and he delayed that battle when it first literally happened, was delayed for 2 fucking months, and they did some heavy fucking editing. They took out the GTA part. I have my version of the battle with the full deliberation. I have their version of the battle on their channel, and they cut off hella shit. They shortened my shit to make it better. They didn't shorten my verse, but they shortened my crowd reactions. That's Sabrina, the GTA line. They took that out because I would have gave people perspective in the comments. But I still did pretty good in the comments. So Sabo tried to say that he eated me, that I wasn't a match at all, and that literally, that even though he delayed it for a fucking week, he tried to say that I was no challenge for him at all, that he defeated me in his base, literally making bullshit excuses that literally I wrote my bars 30 minutes before the match. Literally impossible. Exaggerating like shit, even though we had so much fun doing the battle. He even PN'd me, literally saying that I won at heart, and literally, because he understood how hard I came. So here was the problem. What happened was, Sabo went aggressive. I was more comedy and a little bit of aggression, but he went straight on aggression, and he had some comedy in between. So what happened was, they had a misconception that my shit was corny, but in actuality, what happened was this. I was Slim Shady and he was Eminem. So he won because he took the battle more seriously. Not that I took it just as seriously as him. What happened was he put it in the spotlight. What he did was I had distracted flow because I had old school style. What it was I was delivering it like an Eminem song. And literally I was performing it in a goofy, corny fashion, but it was in the way of Eminem. And literally, it sounded just like the real Slim Shady, basically. I'm not trying to get cocky or anything, but that was literally the direction I was hitting him at. So he came back with the aggressive Eminem. He came back with the way I am after I came at him at the real Slim Shady. Even though, in terms of battle rap, fucking, his shit was more up to date and my shit was old school. So literally, it was hard to compete with him because he had more aggressive. So what he did was he simplified what I tried to do. So his verse went like this. It's like, I know exactly what you're trying to do, and I can tell you why that doesn't work, because I used to flow like that. I used to feel myself to a point where literally I feel this constant rhythm, and you don't want that. You want to actually be more multi-dimensional, even though it was outdated. And that is exactly what happened. People have this misconception that it was corny. People have this and that, but in actuality, it was just Slim Shady versus Eminem. That was the difference between power. They edited the fuck out of my verse. They made sure that they weren't specific references once they uploaded the battle, and they made sure he had split screen connections, literally split screen references for what the fuck he was talking about, and literally they literally fucked me over. They tried to say that I was low tier the entire time. So me and Sabo like had this rivalry, and he did accept the rematch. I'm like, dude, that lets me know that you're fucking scared. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. Fucking every time we pair you against a mid tier, you lose. I'm like, no, you're biased. And you don't upload my battles every time I do be a mid tier. Just admit you're fucking scared. And literally, it did fucking matter. He used my fucking squeaky voice at the time against me. He tries to say that I wasn't anything, but it all backfired on him because everybody recognized that I won't hold. So what happened was this: is I figured out after a long time that after that battle happened, we were being chased by an anonymous group. So this is what happened. So because they were so fucking biased, God literally guaranteed me in the future. I'm like, because they keep on manipulating the situation is why you're gonna be him in real life. So I became a cosplay superstar over time, and I outshined Sabo in every single way, shape, and form where it came to real life. But where it came down to the ARL, something that's truly irreplaceable. Like, you can get vagina, like, damn near anywhere, but you can't get the ARL anywhere. So, like, Lily, you have to understand that, Lily. What happened was I started getting coochie when literally they had something that was greatness. It didn't matter if there was a formal show. What they did was they played this game called Stop Where You're Ahead, which is a very valuable tool, but it's not valuable when you literally destroy your kingdom. How the fuck are you gonna play Start Where You're Ahead and literally it goes down with Bushido had all this potential with the arrow. He went from the arrow rap battling to doing podcasts. Don't you think that's a major punch down? He was known for literally having a great platform with so many different rappers, with so many different styles, and now he's stuck with just podcasts. So we ended up with a dilemma because the ARL was one of my life goals because I love Eminem and I love anime. So literally, what they did was completely fucking shady, and literally, they never gave me a true chance to sign on their channel. So if you guys grow up and you guys figured out that literally, pussy does not outweigh greatness, the ARL was, because it's dead, it's not greatness, but the foundation is greatness. They had a greatness platform and they abused it to a point where literally it was irreplaceable. Nobody can replace the arrow. If you try to do anime rap battles, it was acapella just like the URL. So you can't fucking replace that platform. So they took advantage of that. It's like it doesn't matter how much fucking coochie you get. This is our league and we made sure that you didn't get the last laugh and it was up and running. You can't challenge pussy with past greatness. You can challenge it if it was actually up and running, but that's the reality of the situation. They kept on saying, well, it's because we're professional. It's the same reason why we got on that paper, and that's why you were stuck in the hood, and that's the reason why you were trifling. That's the reason why this, and blah, 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 blah. They sacrificed their personal life in order to be good at the ARL, and that's something I didn't sacrifice. So you have to understand that. It got so fucking hard to a point where we started referencing me versus Sabo in terms of media, and he was still ignorant. So this is the reason why we have Sabito in Demon Slayer. Sabito is based off Sabo Du. And that beginning was literally the truth behind the student versus the master. I was Tanjiro, and that was the difference. He just happened to be upper rank. And literally, we even have Sabo in the Iruma-kun. Welcome to Demon School. Iruma-kun, yes, Sabo's in there too. He's called Sabnok. If you don't know what a knock is a crackhead. A knock is a fiend. So basically, they call Sabo a knock for the ARL. Like, that's all he fucking has. That is the being of Sabnok in Iruma-kun. They kept on coming at me. That word of mouth is bullshit. That I need to get paid. Even though they know how it is to be an actual fucking rapper. They do it as reverse psychology. I want to trap you when you get it on paper. So literally, you'll be just as miserable as everyone else. Because we have feats on paper and we suffered from it. And that is literally the craziest fucking shit, like, really, but no fucking faking it anymore. No, this shit's a coincidence, but at the same time, this is a valuable lesson. Do you see how Sabo delayed the match? Do you see how all that reverse psychology? That is how you run a bullshit business like that. I'm sorry, it's true, but it was successful for a reason. You have to think like that. You have to think disgusting like that in order to survive, because Bushido did that, but what was the problem? It's self-destructive because he relied on the same people, but now what Bushido did is there are a whole bunch of anime rappers out today, a whole bunch of SoundCloud rappers who rap about anime that could have made the ARL more successful, but they held on to it due to a grudge. Anime is more popular than ever, so they fell down. And the reason why this is very informational is because you're going to deal with a lot of shit like this in life. Like, reverse psychology is how humans fucking work. What you have to do is you have to have a platform like the ARL, but you have to have shit to fall back on. Not like me. You don't want to make an enemy with those people. You want to kiss ass a little bit, but you want to have an actual ass to come home to actually kiss. That is the meaning of this first chapter. The first chapter is literally having your cake and eat it too, where it comes to this business shit, because what you want to do is you want to understand that it's because they're a child. This is why they had so much drive and why they literally had such tunnel vision. You want to take advantage of that, but you want to have something on the side. They kept on trying to say that I never improved. They kept on trying to make excuses, literally, but they've done shit on top of shit to manipulate the situation. But the reason why it's a wonderful battle is because we had fun. We had a whole lot of fun. There was this time where I went to a con in Berkeley, and literally I was thinking about Sabo as soon as I got home, because I was known for getting all these cosplay girls, but I was still low tier at the ARO, so that gave me a whole lot of perspective where it came to life. Like literally, I got something that everybody literally dreams to have, like literally golden coochie that everybody literally would die to put their hands on. But at the end of the day, there's still greatness. Here's the thing about coochie, and here's the thing about greatness. Those battles are always going to be there. Those things, that literally, that piece of art, those masterpieces are always going to be there. They're always something to be remembered. But if you fuck a girl and she dips and that's it, there's nothing to remember. There's nothing to literally put in the Hall of Fame. That is the difference between greatness and bullshit. And literally, this is somebody who I got back in real life, and it is because I went so hard in that first battle is why I got back to real life. There was a time where I became a hood nigga, when literally I was street smarter than all of them, and that's because I forced myself into that situation. But I was always a good student, but I wasn't getting no coochie in college. I dropped out of college because I wasn't getting laid, and I didn't have any friends to fall back on. Literally, I had no fucking personal life outside of schoolwork, and you want to have your cake and eat it too in this world. And I kept on thinking about that every time I watched the Rumicon. They kept on coming at me at the point where literally, you got eaten, literally this and that, but literally, in actuality, every time I watched the Rumicon, I kept on thinking about how hard I went against Sabo. It's like, it's because you had, God literally told me this, it's because you had so much fun. It's because you recognized it was such a good match. It's the reason why we have him in this anime. And that is literally how you deal with God. This is a thing called word of mouth. This is also a time for you to chill with God, and it was a time for me to realize, you like, man, I worked really fucking hard. After the convention, I thought about how much fun me and Sabo had. I'm like, man, we're both grown adults now. Time has passed so fucking much, and literally, this is so fucking beautiful. Like, after I got home seeing all those amazing cosplayers, I kept on thinking about how hard I went against Sabo, and the devil kept on, everybody kept on saying, but you still lost, Yeah, but he came hard as fucking, he had hella fucking fun. That's all that matters. That scene teaches you your role in life. I was the pretty boy and I was trying to compete against straight thugs, and literally fucking crazy ass visions of how I fucking viewed that shit in real life. Literally, it is because he has all this balance in real life is why he came so hard. But literally, that was so fucking beautiful. A story about somebody who's a full internet nerd versus somebody who he doesn't know in the past literally had a friend that went to a Jewish school but also read manga, who got caught selling bow. Literally, a guy who literally hung out with a whole bunch of gang members, literally did all that. But he's tried to stay a good person to the fullest, and that's why he went so fucking hard in that battle. That is the difference to me and him. He was an internet nerd to the fullest extent, and I was only slightly a nerd. I was a big nerd, but I wasn't going all out. Meaning I was putting pussy up before my personal goal, and I ended up being trifling, which is why, the same reason why I lost was the same reason why I won in real life, is because I realized the balance we had to have. But that was so fucking beautiful. Do not knock Sabo for a second. That was an incredible rapper. That was an incredible time, and do not knock the experience that it gave me. It's because we came so hard in that battle is why they kept on referencing it. And literally, he tried to say that it was a landslide, but in actuality, he barely won. If I would have got my rematch, it would have been no question.